Hey Raghunath, tell everyone about our Patreon community.
Sure, Kaustubha. The Wisdom of the Sages Patreon community is an incredible online yoga resource. If you like the type of yoga wisdom and culture we share on the show, then our Patreon community is a great next step. This is a listener-supported podcast, and any level of sponsorship will unlock a wide range of live and archived classes, talks, and even workshops.
Raghunath teaches, I teach, and we have a host of other excellent teachers on topics ranging from yoga philosophy, asana classes, storytelling, Ayurveda, kirtan, cooking, meditation, and a lot more.
We even have an incredible online Bhakti 12-step recovery group.
So if you want to check it out, go to patreon.com/wisdom of the sages.
All right, let's get it on.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Live from... Blew that one. Let's try that again.
You're
Live from
fine.
Super Soul Farm. This is Wisdom of the Sages, a daily yoga podcast.
Daily yoga podcast.
Got it. Daily yoga podcast with your host, Raghunath, and co-host and senior educator at the Bhakti Center in New York, Kaustubha. Welcome to the show. Welcome to Srimad Bhagavatam. Welcome to Friday.
Freaky
We're about to
Friday.
hit a road trip. Capo Posse and Bhakti Justin about to hit the road to Long Beach Island, doing classes in kirtan at Yoga Bohemia this weekend. And other news of interest. Isabel Bilodeau went to her first kirtan yesterday. One of our regular Zoomers went to her first kirtan. She got into Bhakti. I think from hearing Russell Brand and Radhanath Swami, somehow stumbled upon Wisdom of the Sages. Hasn't left her home since 2020. And now they released her, and she went straight to the temple. She skipped. She didn't go to the food store. She went right to the temple. They threw her in the kirtan. Why don't we unmute her?
Oh.
Why don't we unmute Isabel?
I'll
I've
walk
never
on
even
it.
heard her speak. Mara, are you in charge of
Yeah,
that?
she's on.
Yes, she is.
oh, Yeah.
Hi. Hey, Isabel, how are you?
Isabel.
Okay, Isabel, was it like a sit-down mellow kirtan, or were they jumping around, dancing around?
No, they were dancing.
Did you have any
Guys.
intimidation? Did you jump up and dance?
No, I was crying. I was thinking of Kaustubha. I was thinking of everybody.
I think of Kaustubha during kirtan too.
There's got to be better things to think about during kirtan.
No, Kaustubha. When they had prasad, I thought of Mara. I thought
There you
Okay, she thought of Kaustubha and Mara. Okay.
Anybody else?
Anybody else say?
no, everybody was there. There was a little
Everybody
river.
else?
It was the Yamuna was right there by. I was just expecting a peacock
So just
to walk by. And,
thinking of people in the Yamuna, thinking of Mara.
yeah, everybody was there. I thought of all the Zoomers, all my sangha. It's just everybody was there yesterday. It was a big giant meditation, and it was transcendental, another world, a big bubble.
Okay, so
Wow.
let me go down the list here. She thought of Kaustubha. She thought of Mara. She thought of all the Zoomers. She thought of the Yamuna. She thought of everybody.
Peacocks.
Okay, can you unmute her? Put her back on mute, please.
chopping the block. It was all about chopping down everything. It was
Wow.
refining, getting the chisel tool. I thought of you, Raghu, with the chisel.
You did.
There
thought
you
of me. She
Yes,
had.
I did.
How many prompts did she need before she mentioned my name?
Lori was there. Lori, everybody
Everybody
had something to say whenever. I don't know.
Things are rising in your mind of
Mhm.
building up to this experience.
Yes.
First, you know what? I think the beautiful thing was the first time I saw kirtan, I was like, "What the heck?" But I think you've been prepped for this now for like a year and a half. You've been prepped for kirtan, and that's exciting.
That it
And
was.
when you go
Yes,
ahead.
Lori said that yesterday before I went. She says, "You're ready. Your heart crack open," and that's exactly what happened. It's just everything. But the sweet devotees and the prasad. Oh my God! I ate so much. I brought some back.
Yeah, I remember doing
made a
that kind of
plate.
thing.
And the kids, there was a little kid. It was sweet baby Krishna right there running around everywhere, and some people were annoyed. And I was just laughing. He stopped.
Sounds like
And
Krishna.
he said hi, and it's just
It's
so sweet.
it's kid friendly. It's kid friendly. You know, do you? I mean, there's a
Raghunath, that's
special.
not just kid friendly. She saw Krishna running around.
So
Okay,
Krishna.
this is not.
That's what I mean
That
by
was Krishna.
friendly. Our God is a kid. The object of our love is a kid. Kaustubha, there's something very, very magical when you have that taste for bhakti, and then the devotees appear in your life. And we can, if you've been in this for a little bit, you have those moments where you just go to the temple either for the first time or you're missing devotees, and all of a sudden they show up. I remember I was on tour. I'd already been a brahmachari, and I decided to come back. The band asked me to come back and do one more tour. And this is before Paramananda was a devotee, and it was the other guys weren't devotees, and I was missing devotees, and I was really lamenting. We were traveling through Europe, and then we pulled over at a main station and a train station to get directions back before GPS, and I heard the devotees coming down the streets chanting, and I lost my mind. It's that
This was
same
in the
type-
Benelux area, right? That's
It was in the
where
Benelux area,
Yeah,
truthfully.
yeah. I remember
It was in the
this.
Benelux area. Jerome might have
Region.
been there.
Yeah. Well, there's
1989.
this thing. Here's a message for Isabel and for myself and for everyone. But like, when you first meet devotees, you're like, oh my God, these people are incredible. Like everyone I'm meeting is just like amazing, and they got so many valuable things to say. And look at their lifestyle. These are great people.
Yeah.
And then you get a little closer and you spend a little time, and then you begin to see like the faults in them, right? Oh, you know what? I thought they were great, but look, they've got that issue and they've got this issue, right? That kind of thing can set
And then
in.
you start getting all discerning, like you're like a deep thinker.
Yeah.
And then
yeah.
years go by and you realize I actually love them all.
Well, that's the point. When you actually, then when you pass through that, and you come out the other end, you all of those, even those faults, whatever you saw, right? They may be real or like true, but they become insignificant, right? It's like, that's not important to me. Like, what's important to me is their devotion, and they've got that, and amongst the millions of people that somehow they've got that, and then you just begin to value everyone. So it can be like that. But I'm appreciating Isabel's kind of like, just really open-hearted kind of appreciation for everyone that she was meeting there. That's a beautiful thing. Got to try to keep that, right?
Yeah, keep that sweet appreciation. It's beautiful. Thank you, Isabel, for sharing. Thanks for crying.
Thank you for
Kaustubha,
thinking of Raghunath.
can I read something to you, Prabhu?
All right. What you got?
All right. I just put it on the first one on the board. There's just a few verses from the Krishna Karnamrita that I've been reading, and it's really nice. I tell you, whenever you go through your
I'm
stuff.
sorry. Say that again. Where's this from?
Some verses from the Krishna Karnamrita by Bilvamangala Thakur.
Oh, Bilvamangala Thakur. Okay.
He was the famous one his first guru was a prostitute, this story.
Chintamani, yeah.
Chintamani. But anyway. Okay, here's the verse. I'm going to try the Sanskrit first. Tell me if it works. Stoka stokinarud yamanim ridula prasyandi mandasmitam premo bedan ragala prasarama pravyakta romangaman Shrotam Shrotamanoharam Brajavadulila Mito Japitam Mitya Svapamupashmahe Bhagavata Krida Nimila Drisha. We will worship Lord Krishna, who is mischievously keeping his eyes closed, pretending to sleep, in order that the gopis playful talks, which are so pleasing to the ear and mind. So he's pretending he's sleeping, but as he's hearing the gopis talk about him and glorify him. Though Krishna is trying to restrain himself, a gentle smile trickles from his lips, drop by drop, and he cannot check the rising tide of love, which causes his hair to begin to stand on end.
It's beautiful.
Okay,
And
that's-
so they can see that he's actually faking it.
He's faking it. Okay, here's one. When, oh, when shall I won't do the Sanskrit. I'll spare you my Sanskrit expertise.
Yeah, it's like Dravida in the house for a second. We gotta get Dravida back on the show.
Let's get
I think.
Dravida back.
Yeah.
When, oh, when shall I see the young boy Krishna, the unchallenged king of those who are exquisitely beautiful? And when shall I experience, along with that vision, the flooding nectar of his flute's sound, endowed with the topmost musical embellishments? When will that child Krishna, adorned with peacock plumes, soothe and cool our eyes with a vision of his moon-like face, imbued with gentleness by the trickling honey of his tender smiles? O moonlight Krishna, please soothe and cool my eyes with your sidelong glances, tinged with mercy, with the magnificence of your childhood, touched by youth, and with your wondrous playfulness, which nourishes the entire universe. What do you think about that?
This is some special poetry.
I'm going to put those on the board for our Zoomers to enjoy. And if you too would like to join our Zoom, we have a little Zoom party every morning. We all know each other. We become good friends here on Zoom. Some of my best friends are on Zoom. Isn't that sad? But if you want to join our Zoom party, you just got to email Mara at wisdomofthesages108@gmail.com. And then you're in the party. That's it.
Speaking of parties,
No other hoops to jump through.
You know, there's something happening tonight. Mara, what's happening?
What's
tonight?
happening? Oh,
Exploring kirtan.
Madhu.
Yeah, Madhu is offering a basics of kirtan workshop this evening at 5 p.m. for our Patreon members.
That guy's super talented.
Super talented. He's
Madhu
so sweet.
is a wealth of great. He's a wealth of transcendental info. We love him. So check out that tonight, Patreon members. It's patreon.com/wisdom of the sages. It's community supported. Join the party. The Patreon.
When you're coming up with new
I'm Raghunath.
slogans and stuff. Join the party.
So we are in a wonder. Would you like those verses?
I thought they were incredibly beautiful. I recognize the one we said about Krishna. It's such a. This is the theology. This is where it goes. Right. There's so much dense philosophy. Right. We've got books of deep, thick, dense philosophy. Books of scientific. Books. Things. It goes in all different directions. And there's cultural things and so on. Then there's like deep kind of yogic instructions and yoga practices. But it all leads actually to certain sentiment, right?
I shifted all my study now to things like this. This is what I
all
want
of
to
it.
study. I'm not interested in. I'm not flesh, and I'm not hair, and I'm not bone, and focus the mind and control the sense. Now I'm into just glorifications.
Baby Krishna.
I used to hate, truthfully, Kaustubha. If people read the Krishna book, there's all these stories of Krishna killing demons and Krishna doing this and that. And then there were those big, massive chapters, right? You know what I'm talking about, right?
I'm not
Prayers of the personified
sure. Oh, yeah.
Vedas,
Okay.
right? Or these long prayers. And you were like, okay, I'm going to skip this. I'm going to skip these 40 pages. Now those are like the sweetest things, just going
I
over
feel the
those
same way.
prayers.
Yeah. The pastimes are just framing the prayers, which is where we're at now, actually, right? The sages from the Jana, Tapa, and Satyalokas are glorifying Lord Varaha, the boar incarnation.
The boar.
Yeah.
God. How I'm getting a lot out of this sweet baby Krishna. I just want to share this because it's important.
You're not interested in the other avatars either, are you?
Well, I'm into Baal Boar,
Okay.
baby boar. I'm into
As long as it's a
Balaram. Sweet baby Ram. Well, ever see those ones of Baal Ganesh and Baal Shiva? I like
Baal
those
Shiv.
too.
Yeah.
So anyway, I'm going through various transitions in my life.
Yeah,
Many
yeah.
people know, and with transition comes fear, anxiety, stress. Right, it's part of transition sometimes,
Instability.
as well as adventure and newness and freshness. But when I get something about the evening, when I usually do Sweet Baby Krishna, I get a little overwhelmed sometimes by some like sadness or some anxiety sometimes.
So where do you turn?
And what's that?
Where do you turn?
Where do I turn? Well, I turn to Sweet Baby Krishna. I've been actually I've been actually doing more Sweet Baby Krishnas lately because I go there. I just go there and, because you really, when you have some pain or some hurt, you want to medicate it. You want it to go away. And people do all types of things. They'll put on the TV. That's probably the most innocuous one. Maybe you take a sip of hard liquor, you smoke a joint, whatever you do to your go-to quick fix, dopamine dump, whatever it takes to sort of like get out of that state of being. And we're training ourselves that when we're feeling low, you turn to Krishna, and that's what taking shelter is, and that's why Krishna is called Ashraya, our ultimate shelter. And it's been really nice. And what I'm finding is the more I take shelter of Krishna, first of all, I usually go in with a little bit of a grumpy attitude. Mara will vouch. She doesn't, only because she knows me. Everyone else I can fool. But and I have a little bit of attitude. By the time I'm free, by the time I'm done, I feel great. And I get some deeper realization afterwards. And I find that the pastimes have something to do with my life as well. There's some takeaway that I'll find with it. And it's actually like Krishna reveals himself through the pages of transcendental literature.
That's beautiful.
Yeah,
maybe I
we're in a
gotta
good
start
place,
tuning
man.
in.
Huh?
Maybe I gotta start tuning into Sweet Baby Krishna.
Probably you are tuned in. You know that. Don't fool us.
No.
You're tuned in.
I gotta tune in. All right, we ready?
Did you see that swastika thing I posted on Instagram? We're gonna get this guy.
What
on
was
the
that
show.
again? Oh, that. Yeah.
It's that quote that we love from
That-
the Hare Krishna movie.
No, it's from the. What is it? Was it called Miracle on? No, it was something on Happiness on on Second Avenue or something like that.
No,
Yeah.
no, it's from the Hare Krishna movie.
Well, it goes back way before that. It's film taken from
Right.
from like 1966.
Right, but that's where we were quoting it from.
I knew it long before the
feel
movie came out, though. Don't you remember from before that?
I feel high. We feel we're low on a high level.
They're high on a low level.
They're high
This
on
guy's
a
like, what do you
low
mean?
level.
The guy's like, what?
I
Interview.
understood what he meant.
I totally get it too.
We're high. We're
Yeah.
feeling high on a low level. and
In other
they're
words,
high.
like all of like Bhagavatam, it's very high level. Like Goloka Vrindavan, like the Krishna Bhakti, it's like it's very high. It's the highest thing, but we may not be practicing very well. So we're low, but on the high level.
Yeah.
Right?
Whereas
they're
people who
high,
taking in the
but they're
60s
on
when
the
that was
low level.
filmed, they were all high, but on a very low level.
On a low level.
I think that was a great analogy for that
Yeah.
guy.
It's brilliant.
He's probably like chanting the Maha Mantra for a week. He's like deeply
No,
realized.
I think later in that film it comes out like the person says to him like he's given this whole long thing, and then they say, "How long have you been on practice?" I said, "For 2 weeks."
You got to put some time in. Oh, yes. Okay. Let's dive in here.
Let's do it.
Narayanam
mantras.
namaskritya naram chaiva narottamam devim saraswatim vyasam tato jayam madiraye. Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is our very means of conquest, one should offer respectful obeisances to the Supreme Lord Narayan, unto Narayan Rishi, the supermost human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and to Srila Vyasadeva, the author. Nasta prayeshva badreshu nityam bhagavat sevaya bhagavati tamashloke bhaktir bhavati naishtiki. By regular attendance in classes in the Bhagavatam and by rendering service to the pure devotees, all that's troublesome to the heart will become eradicated, and loving service to the Supreme Lord, who is praised with transcendental songs, we just did that, will be established as an irrevocable fact. Om Gyana Tamarandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmidatam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. I was born in the darkness of ignorance, and my teachers are opening my eyes with the torchlight of knowledge. I offer my respectful obeisances at their lotus feet. Have another realization, Kaustubha.
All right,
Can I share?
please.
Here's another thing.
Here's another thing.
I think a lot of the people, especially the Zoomers, we're listening to this every day. I see these faces every day, and I see them when I talk to Isabel Bilodeau. These people, I'm looking at the faces right now. Kylie, David Charles Wilson, Andrea, they're all at the edge of their seat, and they're hearing eagerly. there's a problem when people take things for granted. People take bhakti for granted. They're into it. They got the mantra. They've been to kirtans. They've had the prasad. And over time, they got initiated. They got a second initiation. They got married. They have a home altar. You know, you've been into it for a while. The problem is they're into the culture. They've immersed themselves in the culture. But what happens is they stray away from reading the Bhagavatam.
Mm-hmm.
They have the Bhagavatam on the shelf, but they don't read it every day. They don't study it every day. And it's because then Maya sticks her foot in the door. Maya, or illusion personified, has a grip, because you start taking the devotees for granted, the philosophy granted, all the special jewels that we're eager for. If you're feeling a lull in your bhakti, it is not bhakti's fault. It is our own responsibility. And if you hear on a regular basis, if you're chanting on a regular basis, you will feel that ecstasy, even if your whole material world is falling apart. That is for sure, because this stuff is actually real. But you got to do it. You got to. What do they say in the 12 steps? It works if you work it. It works if you work it. So work it.
Okay.
It works if you work it.
I'm with you on that. Don't take it for
Right?
granted.
You know what I'm talking about?
I totally know what you're talking about. It's so easy to, it's like we've been, if you have faith in this, right? If you have faith in this, then we have to kind of conceive of what the Bhagavatam is. Like you're chanting, you just chanted that it's Nityam Bhagavata Sevya. The service involves Nityam Bhagavata. Nitya meaning like regular or like daily or always. And Bhagavata, that they're hearing the Bhagavatam every day, right? It's so simple. So you get this, you go out there and you get yourself a Bhagavatam, set of Bhagavatam, and you have it in your home. And all you have to do is make it a daily practice where you pick that up and you read. If someone can, I once heard a talk by Vaisheshika Prabhu, another person we should bring back on the show. And the name of the talk was some like 3 principles that will like change your spiritual life, and which sounds like like a some kind of marketing scheme, and but
3 principles that'll change your life.
Yeah, but he said the first one is just to take a Bhagavad Gita and read 1 chapter a day every day.
That's it.
And
simple.
That will change your life, and it's a fact. If you just
it's really
do it.
True.
Right.
I always say Krishna book. You read 1 Krishna book for the rest of your life, you'll be happy.
Like one chapter.
One story. You'll be happy. But yeah, Bhagavad Gita, that doesn't take long. We don't have to, I'm not talking about the purports about the Bhagavad Gita. Yeah. You just read through the verses. Chapter 15's got 20 verses, right? It's quick.
You just do that. Read a purport or 2 if you want. You'll find yourself wanting to spend more time with it. It's just like in the beginning, we're like, oh, this is tedious. Oh, I'm not getting anything out of this. Just open up your mind, open up your heart, read it. Just keep doing it. And it will change your life. It will change the way that you see the world. It's dynamic. It actually really works. So we just got to do it.
It's the killer of everything is lack of appreciation. We take things for granted, people for granted, situations for granted, times of our life, seasons of our life for granted, not appreciating what we have. And what happens is then, especially with bhakti, once I take the devotees and the circle of spiritual people for granted, it allows a door for all my bad habits to step right in and firmly put themselves at the dinner table. That's and my fault finding comes back. Oh yeah, and this guy's like that, and she's like that, and they're like this. And then we become overwhelmed by our anarthas, our unwanted things in the heart that I haven't fully cleansed myself of. And it'll almost appear like I've made no advancement at all because we go right back to previous behavior. And we haven't made a lot of advancement, but we've allowed these unwanted things to re-enter the room. And it destroys it can destroy your spiritual life quick. So if you're not feeling that bliss, like these smiling faces I'm seeing this morning, it's our responsibility to humbly re-enter and re-enter, make a commitment to hearing every day.
Let's do it right
I'm
now.
Raghunath. Thank you. Getting some inspiration from the show.
Excellent.
So where are we at, Prabhu?
We are in the Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 13. We ended yesterday on text 39, in which the sages from the higher planets are glorifying Lord Vishnu in the form of Varaha, the boar. And we can wrap up this chapter today, I think.
That's it.
There's some nice verses at the end. The Phal Shruti. You know, the Phal Shruti?
The Paul, the fruit.
Yeah.
49?
No, we read 39 yesterday.
Oh, 30. I'm sorry,
So
30.
40.
40. O lifter of the earth with its mountains, which you have lifted with your tusks, is situated as beautifully as a lotus flower with leaves, sustained by an infuriated elephant just coming out of the water. What?
In other
Kind of
words,
sad.
they're just like an elephant, you know, is in the water and it may pull a lotus flower out of the water and hold it in its trunk. So similarly, they're seeing this form of the Lord like an elephant, and the earth is like that lotus flower being suspended on its tusks.
Gotcha. Okay. O Lord, as the peaks of great mountains become beautiful when decorated with clouds, true, your transcendental body has become beautiful because of your lifting the earth on the edge of your tusks. O Lord.
Metaphors they're using here.
Metaphors. O Lord, for the residential purpose of all the inhabitants, both moving and non-moving, this earth is your wife, and you are the Supreme Father. We offer our respectful obeisances unto you, along with Mother Earth, in whom you have invested your own potency, just as an expert sacrificer puts fire in the Arani wood.
It's interesting, you know. It's here you see, theologically what's going on here. It's saying that God is the Father, Earth is the Mother. This Mother Earth thing, you know, it goes way back. Right?
I know. It's like I said Mother Earth when I was a child, before I
Yeah.
knew what a Krishna devotee was.
And
Did we
like
steal it from India?
if you go to
Mother
like,
Earth?
especially in South Indian temples, you see like there's Lord Vishnu and it's Shri and Bhu, right? Like two wives. One
Yeah.
is Shri and one is Bhu, and Bhu is Earth, is the Mother Earth.
Mara,
right?
can you look up origins of Mother Earth? Did other cultures say that too, or was it did
I think other cultures say that also.
did we co-opt
Are we first?
it?
Are we first?
Are we who's first? Well, did we co-opt it like tying the knot? We took tying the knot from India, right?
Well, I don't know how you're gonna go back farther than like
India.
Yeah,
Well,
the
all
Bhagavatam
right.
or-
Let's see who Wikipedia gives the credit to.
Okay.
Oftentimes they'll say, "Oh, that was a Persian thing," and you're like, "No, it wasn't."
But you know, even if you think of it like this, here's Lord Vishnu, like just like like a father impregnates a mother, a man impregnates a woman, and then from the body of the woman, the body of the child develops, right?
Right.
Like the ingredients of your body are coming from the body of your mother, and so similarly, like our bodies are made up of earth, you know, they're made up of the ingredients of the earth. And so the souls are impregnated, you know, into the material world, and then we develop these bodies made of the earth. So the earth is our mother in so many ways, right? Like our body is practically made from her ingredients. But it's not only that. It's like the whole respect. You see, this is a thing, right? It's like we've got no respect.
You got no respect. You can just speak about me if you like.
I'm not speaking about you. You've got respect. You have a respect for Mother Earth. But it's like, you know, we've, as a culture, we've given up respect for Mother Earth. And so we're so abusive to that mother that's giving us so much, giving us everything, right? We just abuse her. And this culture had a way where, like, again, you know, you get into all the, you could say all this stuff, all these like cultural things are kind of like backward, or they're just whatever, they're like corny or whatever. But like the truth behind them, you know, the practical value in them and being situated in truth. Like, for instance, we've discussed this before, but like, I have this cool book. I keep forgetting what it's titled.
He's got lots of cool books over there. That library of his.
I think it's called the Life of the Sri Brahmanas or something like that. It goes through like the Sri Vaishnava Brahmanas. It's like the day in the life of the Brahmanas in South India.
Yeah.
And you know, like, and so it starts in the morning, and the very first thing when they wake up, as soon as you wake up, you say this prayer to Lord Vishnu, right? Like you haven't even like gotten up yet.
You haven't even gotten up?
Yeah.
Oh,
And then-
Vishnu. Help wake me up.
Yeah, well, and then then you're going to take your first step. You're getting out of bed.
You say
And
to the earth, right?
So, but
Prayer to-
before you place your foot on the earth, you say a prayer to the earth, right, to Mother Earth.
Please
and you're
forgive me for walking upon you, or something like that.
It's exactly like that. Yeah, that I'm going to place my feet on you. It's like disrespectful, right? But because I had to place my feet on you, may every step that I take be in the service of your husband, your Lord, Lord Vishnu. And then one places not their left foot, but just like when we go to shake hands, you don't go with the left hand, you go with the right.
Never.
So you don't do that. So they go with the right foot, and then they place the right foot on the earth, only after saying that prayer.
Okay,
right?
that's
So-
your takeaway homework, people, especially the Zoomers. No getting out of bed with your left foot first. I don't want to. Okay.
We don't want to see any of that.
We're monitoring people.
And but like also like in India you'll see that it's not uncommon. This is something I practice myself now. But the first time in the day that you see the sun, you stop. You fold your palms. You bow your head. You share your appreciation for the sun and for Lord
It's
Vishnu.
not corny. It's beautiful. This is all
Right.
beautiful stuff.
Yeah. This is this kind of like building this kind of ritual into life is a practical way of cultivating the right state of consciousness. And it's only when we've got such a bizarre, crazy, ridiculous state of consciousness that we sacrifice so much and we abuse the earth so much for these cheap things that don't bring us any happiness, and we pay for it.
Dr. Justin, by the way, he said it's Greek. He beat Mara to the punch. He's vying for Mara's gig. Mara, look at Mara. She's just sitting there.
Well, you can say it's Greek, but here we're reading in
He says
Bhagavatam,
Greek.
like-
What do you say, Mara?
Well, that's true. I came up with that too.
You came up with it also. Okay.
Well, you both went to
and Google.
Wikipedia.
Yeah, exactly.
Wikipedia.
Wikipedia and
Okay.
Google gave us both.
He's
the same
also
answers.
saying Incan as well. Incan.
Mm.
Panchamama. Panchamama.
Yeah, I mean,
Oh, yeah,
it's
that's
there
what Vivi
in
put on the
so many
board, too.
cultures. It makes sense, right? It's true.
Yeah.
If it's like penetrating all these different cultures,
Yeah. The mother.
Mother Earth.
Well, algebra is, algebra is, they give the credit to the Persians. It's also Indian. Just
You
thought
were
I'd
good enough.
share that.
Loved you picked that up on one of your memes on one of your Hindu nationalists Instagram things that you follow.
Yes, I
Exactly, precisely. That's where you got it.
Okay, let's continue on with this.
43.
43. Who else but you, the personality of Godhead, could deliver the earth within the water? It is not very wonderful for you, however, because you acted most wonderfully in the creation of the universe. By your energy, you have created this wonderful cosmic manifestation. O Supreme Lord, undoubtedly we are inhabitants of the most pious planets, the Janna, Tapas, and Satya Lokas. So those are higher planets above the earthly realm. But still we have been purified by the drops of water sprinkled from your shoulder hairs by the shaking of your body, right? So you ever see like a dog shakes when he comes out of a pond? He'll shake and you're like, you get all the dog water on you. Yeah. So pigs do the same thing, and they shake their bodies, and the water from the pigs are like now going on the sages. But because it's a transcendental boar, all the sages are in great joy.
It's like Ganga water, right? Like Ganga, the water of the Ganga is like special because it's bathed the feet of Lord Vishnu. So this is coming right from the boar hairs of Lord Vishnu.
It's ecstatic.
It's like, yeah.
By the way, I think the Jhana and the Tapa, right? The Satyaloka, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but this is just not one planet. They're planetary systems. They're like little, like disks, layers of planetary systems.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not just one place. Just like there's not just one Earth. There's many, many type of like earthly planets on the disk where there's sort of like heaven and hell. And these are all these higher planets they're mentioning now. Oh Lord, there is no limit to your wonderful activities. Anyone who desires to know the limit to your activities is certainly nonsensical. You have no sense. Everyone in this world is conditioned by the powerful mystic potencies. Please bestow your causeless mercy upon these conditioned souls. Right?
Okay, so that wraps up the
bewildered.
prayers. Go ahead.
I'm saying we are bewildered. And we think we can figure out the world. Are we kidding?
Yeah,
We're just bewildered by Maya.
That's
The sage much. Ready?
that wraps up the prayers of the sages. Now we go back. So that's sage level 4.
Okay.
We were on sage level
Now-
4, right there.
All right.
Jhanas
Now
and
we're
tapas.
back.
Now we go back to sage level 3.
Now we're back to Maitreya and Vidura
Yeah.
talking. So Maitreya is saying, the Lord, being thus worshipped by all the great sages and transcendentalists, touched the earth with his hooves and placed it on the water. In this matter, the personality of Godhead, Lord Vishnu, the maintainer of all living entities, raised the earth from within the water, and having placed it afloat on the water, he returned to his own abode.
Okay. Now here comes the false Shruti.
Here comes the pal. Give me some pal.
It means the fruit of the Shruti, of the hearing. If you've been hearing this, this is the result that you get.
Have you ever had Sita pal?
I have.
If one hears and describes a devotional service attitude,
In a
if
devotional
one
service
hears
attitude.
and describes in a devotional service attitude this auspicious narration of Lord Bor, which is worthy of description, the Lord, who is within the heart of everyone, is very pleased. Nothing remains unachieved when the Supreme Personality of Godhead is pleased with someone. By transcendental achievement, one understands everything else to be insignificant. One who engages in transcendental loving service is elevated to the highest perfectional stage by the Lord himself, who is seated in everyone's heart. Who other than one who is not a human being can exist in this world and not be interested in the ultimate goal of life? Who can refuse the nectar of the narrations about the personality of Godhead's activities, which by itself can deliver one from all material pangs? Love that word. Oh, I got a material pang.
So that's Maitreya's realization about the value of hearing these narrations. And you know what? As you were reading that, I was just thinking, it just sounds like the stuff you were saying in the beginning about Sweet Baby Krishna. When you hear it, you might not be feeling so ecstatic going into it, but by the time you come out of it, God, it means that God is within the heart of every living being. And it says here, it's such a significant verse, right? That text 48. Let's go back there.
Yeah.
If one hears and describes in a devotional service attitude,
Right.
This
We're not just
auspicious-
reading this because we want to be able to tell stories, or we want
Yeah.
to hear the interesting mythology of India. We're not reading it like that.
right?
We want to become devoted to the boar.
That's right. And so if one hears and describes in a devotional service attitude this auspicious narration of Lord Bor, which is worthy of description, the Lord who's within the heart of everyone, this is significant. This is what we have to meditate on. This is what we have to keep contemplating. That Lord within the heart becomes pleased. Right? So now you've got, a heart full of this Lord that is particularly pleased with where you're going, right? And then it says nothing remains unachieved. Right? All of the other things that we think are significant in this world,
Become insignificant.
they become insignificant. So there's nothing remains to be achieved. Ultimately you've pleased God. There's nothing more to be done. That is your dharma, right? It's like we're designed to bring pleasure to God. And naturally, when we do that, we feel pleasure ourselves. What more is there to achieve? It's nice. It says, again, text 48, by hearing and describing the auspicious narrations of the Lord within the heart is pleased. It says, Janardana Syashu Hridi Prasidati. Right? That Lord Janardana, Lord Krishna, who's Hridi, who's within the heart, Prasidati, he becomes pleased. And then nothing remains unachieved for that person who pleases the Lord in the heart. And that manifests by one seeing everything else as insignificant. But this happens for those who are ananya drista, who have become free of other desires, right? When that happens, then the Lord himself, the verse says it's svayam, the Lord himself arranges for the attainment of his own abode. So what more is there to achieve for such a person? Such a simple process, right?
Simple process to get the pal.
Simple process to get the fruit. Yeah.
Hey, Prabhu, people can argue. They could say, you know what? What's the difference? This is just like any other addiction. And the answer is, yes, it is. In one sense, it is. If you think a person who gets caught up in a heavy, destructive drug like heroin or something, And they get so into the drug. If you offer them anything else, hey, you want to, go to the lake? No, they don't want to go to the lake. Want to go boating today? No, they don't want to go boating today. They're not interested in anything else except that drug. The problem is those drugs dismantle their life. They ruin their family. They kill their career, ruin their children, ruin their. So this is different because you get so wrapped up in it. But what's happening is this, lotus is blossoming in the heart. It's taking away your pain, your anxiety, your fear. You start to love people instead of trying to control people. You start to learn to find simple joys in life. All these concepts of how you'll be happy if you do this start to vanish, and you realize, oh, I get it. My happiness is already here. I've just been disconnected to it. So yeah, it's like this Krishna bhakti spiritual joyful rabbit hole you fall into, and you become absorbed in it. And mark my word, Kaustubha Das.
Yes.
We are looking at people. We're at the Zoom right now. I see these faces every day on Zoom. And, you see the artwork in their house, right? Slowly, the artwork starts to shift. And all of a sudden, you see a little picture of Krishna hanging on the wall. And you see another. And all of a sudden, you see another little picture of Krishna hanging. It starts to change even how you decorate your house, right? Because it just happens. I've seen it happen to myself. Yeah, I've seen it happen to, you're like, why don't I have a picture of Krishna here? Well, and next thing you know, you're taking all your paintings and pictures and moving them to the attic. And you're like, Krishna pictures all over your house. It happens.
It's natural that what you're cultivating internally begins to be expressed externally.
Yeah. I saw Henry, Bhakti Henry, Haridas, our regular Zoomer. He grew up in a very big house in Washington D.C. And I remember first going there, and it was like his family, a generational house. We had all these ancient pictures of his ancestors on the wall, like very beautiful paintings that looked like you were in a museum. And I was like, wow, it's like a museum. I remember me and Paramananda would go there and look around this house. It's like walking into a museum. And slowly, like everything. Actually, we came back one day and his entire house was painted saffron. I was like, what the hell happened to his house? And we went in there, and the whole thing has been like converted to like a temple, a beautiful temple. It went from sort of like, not creepy, but how these paintings of old women and old men and stuff like that, and grand ancestors, to like a beautiful spiritual realm. And, it's what you have on your walls, you're like meditating on a regular basis. This becomes part of your mind and your consciousness. You got to be careful what's on your walls.
Yeah.
Now you go to Henry's house, it's like going into an ashram.
Cheers. Yeah, this cultivation, here, 2 verses in a row mentioned the Lord in the heart. The Lord in the heart becomes pleased when you're hearing his glories. And then the Lord in the heart personally begins to change your life. He personally gets involved, right? It's very interesting. And it's such a simple process. Like, if you go to the Bhagavad Gita, it talks about realizing the Lord in the heart, right? And it gives 4 different methods for doing that. It lists 4 different methods. And these are verses 25 and 26 from the 13th chapter of the Gita. But
he's always prepared with Gita verses. Have you noticed that, Mara?
Well, it just came up.
But it just came up. Okay.
But the text, you see, commonly, like, we will call these like the 4 different paths of yoga.
Yeah.
Right. It says some perceive the super soul within themselves through meditation. Right. Through sitting very quietly with a very peaceful mind. When you can focus your mind on one subject and hold it there without distraction, it's a very hard thing to do. To practice this type of yoga called Ashtanga yoga, people have to change their entire lives. They have to walk away from their life. They go off to the forest. They sit out there quietly. They keep bringing them. Arjuna heard about this in the 6th chapter of the Gita, said, I don't think I can do it. Too hard. Right? So, but here Krishna says, some perceive the super soul within themselves, the Paramatma within themselves, through meditation, and others through the cultivation of knowledge. And that's referring to Jnana yoga. Right? It's also a really hard path of, like, breaking every material desire in your mind through intense renunciation and analysis like that. And then he says, and still others through working without fruitive desires, and that's called karma yoga, right? So all the different paths of yoga, they have an aim, according to Krishna in the Gita, and that's to find the super soul within the heart. But then he says, and this is text 26, and he says, again, there are those who, although not conversant in spiritual knowledge, begin to worship the Supreme Person upon hearing about him from others. Now, it's simply the path of hearing. It uses this term shruta parayana. Like we said, fal shruti, which means the fruit of hearing. Here the word shruta parayana, those who are devoted to hearing, right? This is their path. So it says, some perceive the super soul within them, or I'm sorry, and again there are those who, although not conversant in spiritual knowledge, begin to worship the Supreme Person upon hearing about him from others. Because of their tendency to hear from authorities, they also transcend the path of birth and death. So in one sense, that's describing the path of bhakti. When you hear about the bhakti, like Bhagavatam will list 9 different processes of bhakti, right? But it begins with hearing, shravana, right? Shravana, kirtana, Vishnu, smarta, padasevana, 9 different things like. But it all starts with hearing. And what Maitreya Rishi is telling us right now, try to, just like you were describing earlier, Raghunath. We have a Bhagavatam sitting in our home. We're not reading it, right? We have access to this. It's like this, like kind of like glowing, transcendental, powerfully transformative substance.
Right. We got a key to the magical door.
It's right
We're
there.
just like,
Yeah.
not going to open it.
Yeah, not interested right now. I'm more interested in Netflix. I'm more interested in wasting my time in some other way. But it's right there. Try to elevate that through hearing Maitreya speak about it, through hearing Krishna speak about it. Try to value it in the right way. Try to value it more every day, and then devote yourself to hearing it, and then see if you get that feeling. Like the Lord within the heart is pleased. You're describing that, Raghunath, right? It's just like you're saying you're doing it on a daily basis. You're feeling down, you start to read some Bhagavatam, and you start to feel up. And again, that principle is mentioned. The Lord becomes pleased within the heart, and then personally gets involved. That Paramatma, he's often called like the Antaryami, or which it can mean 2 different things. Sometimes it's called the Shakshi, right? Like the witness. That the Paramatma is just witnessing everything.
That's that Ram song. Tu antaryami, sadma swami. Tu antaryami, tu ke radha kasham. Hey Ram, hey. Prabhjot knows what I'm talking about.
Prabhjot's
Where's
into that one.
Prabhjot? Yes, he's like, yes.
I know that one. I
You
hear
know
it all
that
the
one.
time. Yeah, so that Lord is in the heart, and when you start to, like, in other words, if you make that, generally most people are moving through this world without any commitment to him, and so they're just thinking, I want to enjoy this world, and then Krishna's not directly get involved, but the Paramatma is there to direct you according to your karma. He's regulating the karma, giving you what you deserve and giving you what you desire. He's giving you what you desire in the way that you deserve, and that becomes the role of the Paramatma. But for one who's trying to turn to him, he gets personally involved. That's what Maitreya was saying, right? He starts to make arrangements in your life. And so if we just try to devote ourselves to hearing, and I mentioned yesterday, like I was just doing a little experiment, like a little practice when I was in kirtan the other day, out in public in Union Square.
Yeah.
Just that idea, I really like this, and I really think it's something that everyone can experiment with. Even just like, say, you take 1 hour of your day, right? Like do just these kind of little yogic exercises, right? Like for the next hour, I won't allow my mind to slip into its normal mode of just kind of like sizing everybody up, externally, right? In other words, for 1 hour, I'm not going to see anyone. I'm not going to judge anyone or feel towards anyone anything based on externals. Rather, I'm going to go heart to heart, right? I'm going to relate to them as a friend on the spiritual level. And what that means is that your mind is, because the tendency is so deep, it's so entrenched, it's so habitual, that when we see someone, we say, oh, that person's cool, or that person's not, that person looks like a jerk, what a boring person, what a this, that. You realize that I've been all of these things, I still am all of these things. And but I know that that's not me. I know that I'm a spark of spiritual, and I know that this person is as well. I know that God is situated in my heart. Once I'm seeing that way, I'm seeing on the level of the Paramatma. I'm seeing like the Paramatma, right? Who's seeing the soul and not the external. The external is not so significant to the Paramatma. He's sticking it out with everyone, no matter what they're going through. We should be sticking it out with them too, And even though they're manifesting in this way, I'm neither repulsed by or attracted to, right? Neither of those sides of the coin. I'm seeing them on the spiritual. I'm not materially attracted. I'm not materially repulsed. I'm seeing them as a spiritual friend. I'm seeing them as a spiritual equal. Just try to do that for an hour, Try to do it for an hour a day. Just particularly like when you're in public, or what to speak of when you have to deal, like say you're in the workplace or something like that, and you're dealing with people that are in your life that can be annoying or problematic. Try to cultivate that vision. Hear about it in Bhagavatam. And then try to train your mind. This is what it is. It's training. Every time the mind acts the other way, you correct it. You correct it. You correct it. And if you keep correcting it, gradually what happens is it starts to think the way you want it to think. You reprogram the mind to see through the eyes of Bhagavatam. And we call that Jnana Chakshusha, right? Seeing through the eyes of the Shastra.
We call it Vishnu goggles here on Wisdom of the Sages.
It's another way to say it too, Vishnu goggles. Yeah,
Jnana Chakshusha.
You got to cultivate it. You got to try to see things that way, And when you do, you become happier. God within the heart becomes happier. You become happier.
You've made me very happy.
You've made me so
very happy.
We got no show tomorrow, right?
We got no show tomorrow, but we have a show
no
Sunday. And then we have to take a break on Monday.
Yes, so there's 2 days.
Because it's the day after 4th of July. Mara's going to be flipping veggie burgers all night. And she can't get out of that.
You got a big gig for July 4th?
Yeah, we do. We have a party we do every year for 120 people or so.
Yeah. I was at her kitchen yesterday. Kaustubha. She has these. You should see what these.
Into Mara's kitchen every day around lunchtime, just coincidentally.
You want to get rid of a cat, you got to stop feeding it. But you should see what she's got her employees doing. They're doing 108 obeisances in front of the altar, to prepare before they go in and touch the food. They're doing all these type of like rituals. It's amazing the standard she keeps in that kitchen. Unbelievable. They're all offering bathing in Ganga water.
Before we get to takeaways, some people on the chat board are inquiring about the name of that book that you mentioned.
Which book?
Where they can
the name
it.
Brahmana?
I got it right here. 1 second. Let me get it.
Yeah. Okay, great.
And what's your takeaway while we're at it, Mara?
All right. I got some takeaways. Don't become critical around devotees.
Don't become critical around devotees.
It's not an easy book to find. I don't know if you're going to be able to find it. It was like a dusty.
Everybody's
old
sitting
thing.
by Amazon right now, waiting. Say it.
Who's gonna be first? It's called the Sri Vaishnava Brahmanas. The Sri Vaishnava Brahmans by D.B.K. Rangachari.
By now.
Yeah, it had a cool cover, but it was like, I kept it in here. It's just falling apart. Did I keep it? No, it's gone.
From India.
Yeah, but it's a cool book. I got a Rusty Harilal and Sons. Just collecting dust in there for years.
Great stuff.
Yeah.
All right, what's our takeaways, Mara?
All right, Krishna is Ashreya.
Krishna is Ashraya, shelter.
Mm-hmm. There's a problem when you take bhakti for granted. Maya gets in.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, there's a problem.
Lack of appreciation is the killer of everything.
It's a killer of everything.
Kills everything.
A little Gita every day will change your life.
Changes
everything.
everything.
Away takes the Maya away.
Mm-hmm. Building ritual into your life cultivates right consciousness.
Not a t-shirt, but I like it. Imagine that as a shirt. Say that again. Building ritual into your life.
Yeah, cultivates right consciousness.
Yeah.
My happiness is already here. I've just been disconnected.
I'd wear that.
Devote yourself to hearing daily to please the super soul.
All right. Is that it?
I'm reading how you're supposed to wake up, Raghunath. Okay. I want you to try this. You ready, Raghunath?
Yeah.
Getting up from sleep. The first thing that one does every day during the early part of the day is getting up from bed.
Yep.
He is expected under ordinary circumstances to wake up at least half an hour before the sunrise. And then he is to pronounce the name of God as Hari, Hari, at least 6 times.
Before you get out of bed, Hari, 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 Hari.
Okay, there you go. And then the person is expected to repeat the shlokas describing the coming of God as Hari and destroying the distress of Gajendra, the chief of the elephants. So that's probably Bhagavatam verses. I don't know if it's described in other Puranas.
It's probably these prayers from the Bhagavatam. It's so interesting. Like, if you were just to like what, you know what's going on? We're resurrecting these ancient traditions. Like, otherwise these things get covered over by time. These South Indian Brahmins, it gets sort of lost. It becomes obscure. We're sort of like it makes sense to us. This actually makes sense. If anybody else was to read this book, they're like, what?
Okay, then he goes on. If the person getting up from his bed is strong enough and capable of commanding his time, he may repeat the dhyana shlokas of the 108 Tirupatis, the Das Avatar Stotra, the larger Gadya, other stotras of God loudly and in a manner pleasant to be heard by others. Important right there, right?
While he's still in bed?
Yeah, while he's still in bed. But you do it in a manner that's pleasing to others, so that's like,
So you're not just like...
yeah, you got to do it in the right mood.
Lokam, ta, bam, bam, bam. You got to do it with like pleasing.
Yeah, in a pleasing way. Not just pumping it out like mechanically, right? But like in
pleasing. Like
there's a lot more there. Maybe we can bring this up next week or something.
Let's bring that up. That sounds super interesting.
Yeah, what is it? The Sri Vaishnava Brahmanas.
Mara, is there any way we could do... I would like to do Sweet Baby Krishna tonight, but there's every chance I might not be able to. Can we have sort of like a thing where it's on hold? How can we let our people know?
When will you know, Raghunath?
I don't know. Can people just sort of... If I do it, it'll be at 8:30.
Okay. So people can log on at 8:30.
You know what that reminds me of?
There?
You know what we're about to launch? Maybe not this coming Monday, but the Monday after.
Launch? What are we launching?
We're going to launch the Sage page. This is our weekly newsletter.
Yeah, we're launching. I was like, what are we... The Sage Page newsletter.
Yeah, so then you could all get on our mailing list, and then it could also be used for announcements like that, like, hey, Sweet Baby Krishna, you just look in your emails. If it's there, then you know it's on.
You know what? That's great. How do you sign up for the mailing list, Kaustubha?
You write to Wisdom of the Sages 108 and write Sage Page in the thing, and then we'll put your email on the thing.
No, there's got to be an easier way to get on our mailing list instead of letting Mara do it by hand.
We'll put it on our website as well, but...
Okay, we got to get our mailing list on the website so they can just go to the website and write their name in, and then they're on. Yeah, otherwise, we're giving Mara like hours of menial labor.
Okay, well, at least for now, you could go to the Sage Page. Or
at
you
least
can
for
write
now,
Sage
Mara,
Page.
you'll get some menial labor. Okay, you've got nothing going on,
Thank
right?
you, Prabhu.
Hey, by the way, Mara, what's that picture behind you? Can you move your camera? I want to see if that's a Krishna picture.
Let's see where her inner life is, how her inner life is expressed externally.
I don't know if you can see it.
What is
We
it?
got to blow it up. We got to pin
Mussolini.
here.
What the heck?
Oh, it's cows.
The cow.
Yeah.
Oh, that's pretty good.
You're off the hook.
Okay.
I'm going through throwing things in the garbage. We're keeping this, getting rid of this, going through this.
Thanks for letting me keep it.
Her kitchen is like an ashram. Her kitchen is like an ashram. You can't even wear shoes in there. You can't wear shoes in there. What do you think of that, Kaustubha?
What's that?
You can't wear shoes in her kitchen.
Of course not.
It's
They got like Crocs just for the kitchen in there.
Yeah, they have special kitchen spiritual shoes. Thanks everybody for joining us. What a beautiful day for a beautiful day. Thanks for Isabel Bilodeau sharing your Krishna miracles with us. And so we're gonna try to do a Sweet Baby Krishna tonight if I can pull it together. Driving to, and I hope I see the New Jersey posse. at Yoga Bohemia Saturday night. I see them smiling and dancing. I'd like to party with some of you people. And when we party, it's going to be fun. We sing, we dance. We got an Italian posse going on. Vivi's organizing our Italian retreat. And I think it might be sold out. It might be sold out. Write Vivi at WOT, Wisdom of the Sages, WOTS Italy at gmail.com to see if there's anything on the waiting list. Because sometimes people, 0. She says 0 on the waiting list. Okay. Anyway, we'll do something else before the year ends for sure. Thanks, everybody, for joining us. Got Bhakti Justin here because we are ready to start our dance party. Are you ready, Justin? Before we hit the road, first we dance.